So we have talked at length about how difficult things could be for the Florida Gators this year. We've talked about what Billy Napier needs to do to keep the program together, but the narrative around UF is starting to change, at least from a national perspective. The Florida Gators are quickly becoming a very trendy team that national college football analysts are predicting to be better than expected this upcoming year. Today, we're going to listen to a few of those guys, and then we're going to talk about why I believe the narrative is changing so much in Coach Napier's favor. Nobody has been more vocal about this than Cole Kubelik when he said the following on his show.
I think they're going to surprise some people. This is my opinion coming out of spring. I'd love to see him add another receiver, maybe another DB. But I think that there are a lot of reasons that this team could exceed expectations. Number one, the expectations are too low. You people saying 3 and 4 wins for this Florida team, you're out of your mind. It's the Florida Gators, man. Like, that's not going to happen. I think the Florida Gators are going to be just fine this year.
So Cole did a 30-minute breakdown where he went through the new leadership on the team, Graham Mertz, the weapons at UF, and a whole lot more. I'm going to link it in the description, but it was probably the most thorough post-spring breakdown out there. Next up is former Alabama quarterback and ESPN analyst Greg McElroy, and this is what he had to say.
But every single thing you read about the Florida Gators is about one of two things. One, how hot is the seat for Billy Napier? And two, how impossible their schedule is this year. If you want to dive into where they're at offensively, hey, here's some key position battles. Here's what I'm paying close attention to. Here we are defensively. Here are the guys that I think are going to need to step up. Like, it's almost hard to read those things. Everyone's basically putting Florida in the ground. They're burying them, and they're saying they have no chance here in 24. Guys, it is still the Florida Gators. I'm not picking them to go to the playoff, okay? I'm not picking them to go to the playoff. I'm not sitting here and saying, yep, hey, keep an eye on Florida. Now, this is a team that's going to be sneaky. Watch when they win 9 games. I'm going to say, I told you so. No, I'm not saying any of those things.
So, McElroy says kind of the same thing that we heard Cole say, which is that, it's still the Florida Gators. And, I think that Florida is a big national brand, but I also think we were the Florida Gators last year too. But Greg makes some interesting points. Are we going room to room and comparing the games that Florida has on this schedule? Are we really into the nitty gritty, or are we just saying because Coach Napier has had 2 bad years and there's a hard schedule, we're going to see a 3rd bad year? We're going to get into it. But lastly, listen to On3's JD Pickell.
Because all I hear about Florida whenever they come up on national shows or you hear them mentioned on different national columns or articles is they suck. They suck. When is Billy Napier going to get fired? And then I look at what they have on this roster, and I'm just telling you, man, something's not adding up here. Because when I look at this roster, I see a quarterback who everybody told me last year was going to suck too, and then he went out and threw for almost 3,000 yards, went 20 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. That doesn't suck. They have a real Tier 1 SEC weapon for when you play the Georgias and when you play the other big boys in your conference in Eugene Wilson. He can be the difference maker for you. He's on your roster, so you got an answer against some of the best defenses in the country. And then defensively, you are light years better from a personnel standpoint. That secondary last year, you played a lot of young bucks. That's not going to be the case this year. You got some more veterans on the back end. You have a lot more proven production on that side of the football. So America and the national narrative is that Florida is going to suck and that Billy Napier is going to get fired. And I understand the schedule is a Hunger Games schedule. Do not get it twisted. But I keep looking at this roster, and I don't see where this narrative is coming from. If you're judging this year based on last year, I think we're looking at it the wrong way, would be what I have to say there about Florida. So
the interesting thing that JD Pickell says, in not so many words, essentially, is that Coach Napier is a really, really good evaluator of talent. He's talking about each position and where Florida has upgraded, what they brought in, what they're going to do better. All of that has to do with Coach Napier getting the pieces of the puzzle that he wants in place. So, JD is right. On paper, all of those rooms have been upgraded. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when the football kicks off in August because things should be better. And listen, here is why I think UF is starting to change some people's minds. It has everything to do with how Billy Napier runs his program. Now, I understand the on-the-field blunders. You guys don't, you understand completely that I am not a fan of some of these mistakes that have been made the last couple of years. But the way Coach Napier actually runs the program, from recruiting to structure to culture to his coaching hires, honestly, is as good as it gets. Remember how Josh Pate raved for days when he saw how they run things? He saw what it felt like inside the building and said that it had the feel of a winning program. He talked at length about the fact that when you walk in that building, the attitude and the environment that you are hit with is nothing like what you are hearing outside the program. It is nothing like all of the negative press that Florida has been getting about what's going on inside that building. You walk in and you see players and coaches who are prepared, a structure in place, a culture of players that want to win for each other, maximum effort all the time, all the ingredients that are necessary to win. Now, at the end of the day, Florida is going to have to prove it. You can run a program like Nick Saban, right? But if you can't win games, it doesn't matter. We all like Billy Napier as a person. We all like Billy Napier as a CEO. What remains to be seen is, can Billy Napier be a great coach on the field that produces wins? That is, at the end of the day, what everybody wants to and needs to see so that he remains the head coach at the University of Florida. But I think there's a great chance that this is the year they get over the hump. Building programs from the ground up takes time. And I know you guys are going to tell me, look at Colorado or look at Washington or look at this and that. We have talked a lot about the fact that Coach Napier wants to build a cement foundation. You can build your house on wood or you can build your house on concrete. He's picked concrete. We have said from the beginning, it's a long rebuild. Everybody wanted to talk about the mess that Coach Mullen left. If you believe Coach Mullen left a mess, then you also have to believe that Coach Napier should be allotted the time to clean up the mess, to rebuild the program. And what all of these national pundits are talking about is essentially that they think the foundation is laid. They think what Coach Napier has been building these last 2.5 years is about to result in some prosperous football for Gator fans. Now, does that mean that we're going to win a national championship? No. Does that mean that Florida's going to make the playoffs? Probably not. Does that mean they're going to win 9 games? Maybe not even. But if we really do think that the culture is good, the foundation is solid, then I think there's a great chance that these guys are right, that we do see more wins this year than people have predicted. What are your thoughts? Do you think these national guys have it right? Do you think UF is, a sneaky under the radar team? Let's talk about it down below. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I also appreciate Meldon Law for their support. If you are in Gainesville, Ocala, Fort Lauderdale, or Lake City, and you're either in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, your consultations with Meldon Law are absolutely free. They've been serving Florida since 1971 and are a proud partner and supporter of all Florida Gator athletics. Check out this quick video from them, and then I'll talk to you guys soon. Go Gators!
After the car accident, your personal life takes a toll when you have major injuries. Being a mother of 3 kids, having to work, it became overwhelming. Didn't know what was going to be my outcome, but Meldon Law actually, they went above and beyond.
At Meldon Law, we're not just your legal team, we're your support system. You do not have to go through this alone. At Meldon Law, we won't back down.